Have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
And what gives you a high degree of confidence that this originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I can't tell you that. I'm not allowed to tell you that.
What does your research indicate about that theory?
So our research actually indicates nothing about that theory, other than the early cases were not clustered anywhere near the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
There's evidence that it came from the laboratory,
which strongly suggests that nobody actually in the lab was infected. No evidence whatsoever has emerged since the very beginning of the pandemic that suggests that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was involved in the outbreak in any way.
Those of us that know a lot about these viruses are convinced that it was not, it did not escape from the lab.
It's always been clear to me that this virus, just like SARS-1 before it and all the other coronas, and in fact all the human viruses, it came from a wild animal somewhere. Not from a lab. No virus that has spread this way has ever come from a lab, but that lab in Wuhan was not working on these viruses. And I do think that the lab leak idea is just a distraction, politically motivated. It's an easy answer for a tough problem.
Republicans on Capitol Hill continue to push a new bizarre conspiracy theory about the origins of the virus today.
The American people are entitled to use their common sense to look at those labs as the most plausible explanation of the origin of this virus.
We're talking about an accident. Some conspiracy theories suggest that it was engineered within the lab.
And that really does feed into conspiracy theories whenever you have a lack of transparency. Now, that's not a smoking gun. That doesn't prove anything.
It came out of China, and it's not acceptable what happened.
Donald Trump is still pushing the debunked bunkum, despite his own intelligence community's findings that is simply not true.
So you're 100% confident there was no leak, no accident?
I'm confident there's no leak.
100%?
100%.
There's no way that it could be leaked from the lab.
There's evidence that it came from the laboratory.
It's improbable that the virus somehow escaped.
There's evidence that it came from the laboratory.
So we know that they did not have isolates of the virus that leads to COVID-19 in the lab.
We have been targeted as a scapegoat.
The complete fallacy that COVID-19 originated from a lab in Wuhan, China, was one of former U.S. President Donald Trump's thousands of lies.
We are innocent.
There's a chance that this was created in a lab. There's an investigation.
A chance? Novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do we do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan novel respiratory coronavirus lab. The disease is the same name as the lab.
We have been targeted.
So wait a minute, you work at the Wuhan respiratory coronavirus lab. How did this happen? And they're like,
scapegoat.
And you're like, no, the name of your lab. If you look at the name, let me see your business card.
Targeted.
I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan.
We are innocent.
The president said yesterday that he has a high degree of confidence that the coronavirus originated in a lab in Wuhan, China, and yet his own intelligence agencies say they're still investigating. So does the president have information, and has he drawn a conclusion that the intelligence community has not yet? Yes, I have.
It's quite clear in this case that it came across through animals.
Identify its origin, continue to point towards a natural reservoir.
And I think that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves.
This virus is natural in origin.
Because they're like the public relations agency for China.
How did we get here? With America's most prominent public health experts saying that the lab leak theory, which was previously hawked by conspiracy theorists, might actually be credible.
But now new reporting this morning could show that the coronavirus actually did start in a lab in China.
Are you still confident that it developed naturally?
No, actually, that's the point that I said.
It seems like quite a coincidence that there's a lab in the city of Wuhan, which we know is where this disease came from, that experiments with viruses.
Are you saying you think it's likely that that's the way it happened and that they've been covering it up?
Yes.
Tonight, NBC News learning the Department of Energy has concluded COVID-19 likely came from a lab leak in China.
So true.